The one thing that why boxing got my attention was it felt like family. I think I walked in the gym, Brendan Ingle, MBE, rest his soul, an amazing coach. Brendan said, listen to me, you're a mummy's boy. Stick at it, you'll end up being world champion. I just thought he was mad. I thought, are you crazy? I'm rubbish. I went to the gym because my friends were there. That's why I had no dream of thinking me being a world champion. I'm seeing everybody on television, not me. Stuck at it. I started to win. I'm like, wow. But I used to think upside down. When I won, I didn't think I was good. I just thought they were bad. I think upside down. I used to mistake nerves for fear. So when I was nervous, I didn't realise I was nervous. I thought I was scared. So I was believing the narrative when people said Nelson's a coward, he can't fight. I thought I was scared. My eureka moment was when I was sparring with a former world light heavyweight champion, Fabrice Deoso in Lyon. And I was out there 3 months. I spent 6 years on the circuit in Europe as a sparring partner. That's when they pay you to be beat up. You got to survive. I was sparring with a world light heavyweight champion, me. And I just always fell short at that point when it counted, because I never thought I was good. I just thought they were bad. I was beat, and I was in the gym sparring with Fabrice, and I beat him up every day. And I'm thinking, this ain't right. He's world champion. I'm like a piece of meat. I shouldn't be doing this to him. It was a cloudy day. I walked out the gym, just had another session. I'd been there 3 months. There was a stretched limousine outside, white stretched limousine, beautiful lady in front seat with a little white poodle stroking it, chauffeur driven. Oh, she was in the back seat, chauffeur driven. And I'm stood there, been there 3 months. I thought, aye. And nodded. Behind me, I see you tomorrow, Johnny. Turned behind me, it was Fabrice. Fabrice jumped into the chauffeur-driven limousine, the beautiful woman in the front, the white poodle, and drove off into the sunset. And I'm like, I drove off, and I'm like, what? The clouds opened, boom! It started raining. I'm stood there on the side of the street. I've been in Lyon for about probably 3 months now, back and forth to the gym. I'm staying in a dirty little bedsit. The guy I'm beating up, who's champion, has just driven off in a chauffeur-driven limousine. And I'm living in a bedsit. And I looked at the cars, it drove off into the distance, looked up into the skies, and it's pouring down. And it just sort of shook my head. I said, Johnny, you're an idiot. The only difference between you and him is he can perform in public. That was the only difference. And when I decided on that day, that was my eureka moment, I said, I am never going to lose again. Because you're an idiot, you've done everything right, Johnny. You've prepped right, you've had the ups, you've had the downs. Why, what is it about it? You can beat that guy up in the gym, why can't you do it in a fight? From that day on, I never lost a fight. I ended up becoming world champion. And when I became world champion, I made a record of defences. I made 13 defences for the world cruiserweight title. I never lost it in the ring, I retired as champion. So to me, I always say to people, it's not just about training the body, it's about training the mind. Believing you're special. And Brendan got me, he said, you don't have the confidence to match your ability. But once it came together, I was unbeatable. If you want it enough, and you're ready you really want it enough, you'll achieve it. You've got to be that passionate. And you know what, you've got to be selfish, but you've got to be honest with yourself. If you cheat, you only cheat yourself. And you know there's that little corner of your mind saying, if I'd have just done this, I'd have just done that. I had to learn by experience. But it had to be good and bad experience. That's the only way you get wisdom. The hardest thing is not becoming champion. The hardest thing is staying champion. Because once you reach the top of the mountain, that reason for getting up at stupid o'clock in the morning, that reason for going that extra mile, that reason for doing things you wouldn't do has gone because you've achieved it. You're at the top of the mountain. So now the problem's this. Why are you going to get up at stupid o'clock in the morning? Because what you're chasing. You're the one being chased. Once I became champion, because I knew I'd been through all the good and bad, the highs and lows of fighting to get to that point, there was no way in a million years I'm going to lose it from a mistake, because I've made all the mistakes. So once I became champion and I was the hunted, I then knew, if you're going to hunt me, you better be on your A game. Because if you're a world champion, there's only a handful of champions in the world that believe they are the best fighter in the world, and that takes a degree of arrogance. And there's only a handful of champions out there that believe that they're done. I thought I was the best fighter in the world. I thought nobody would beat me. I had to have that arrogance. So when it came to defending my title, I had the arrogance and the self-belief that I'd done everything. I did that 13 times. I knew my time was nigh after my 12th defence, because I was in bed. I used to get up in the morning, 3 o'clock to run, because I thought if I get up at 3 o'clock, my opponent's still in bed. Then I go to gym at 7 o'clock in the morning. I can remember in my 12th fight, I was tired. My alarm clock went off and it woke me up. Usually if I set the alarm for 3 o'clock, I usually got up at 2:55. And I thought, yes, I'm on it. This time it was the alarm clock that woke me up. I could hear the rain pouring outside. Oh, nah, and covered myself up. And I didn't feel guilty staying in bed. When I got up in the morning, I knew my days were numbered, because I felt comfortable and no guilt by cutting a piece of my training. And so I thought in my head, I've probably got 1 or 2 fights left and that's it. And I'm going to walk away from this game. I'm going to retire from this game. This game is not going to retire me. Who'd have thought someone like Nigel Benn, the Dark Destroyer, who was knocking everybody out cold, would ever retire mid-fight? Remember when he did it against Steve Collins? Retired in the ring. Nigel Benn, the Dark Destroyer, the baddest man. He was on it. But because when the fight has gone in you, it's gone. And you've got to be honest with yourself and make that decision. Nigel had to make that decision mid-fight in front of the world. And that must have been very hard, because he's a very proud man. He was the Dark Destroyer. I saw fighters like Nigel, I saw fighters like Lennox Lewis retire from the sport, not make the sport retire them. I saw him tonight, I'm like, nah man, that's not gonna happen to me. So when it was my time, I said, I'm done. I'm out of here, I've done it. You know, and I felt comfortable, because as I said, you know, if I can stay in bed and feel comfortable not running, there's a problem. So you've got to want it enough, and once you stop wanting it enough, that's where the problem starts. It's addictable. It's an addictable sensation when you walk out and the fans are cheering or even booing you. It's an addictable sensation because nothing else matches or measures up to it. Nothing else there's no job. There's no entertainment that matches it. When the adulation's there, when they're either booing you, when they're either cheering it, nothing matches to it. So when you go out there, if you're the faint-hearted and you're getting booed, the last sport you want to be in is boxing. If you're a fighter that needs the cheers of the crowd to lift you and make you a better fighter, it's all right when you fight at home, but when you box away from home, you've got a problem. This is a gift, an experience you can't buy, you can't borrow, you can't pretend to have. When you walk out into the ring and you sit out to the ring and you're being booed. I can remember fighting in Rome against Vincenzo Cantatore, defending my world title. They were booing me. I could hear him hissing and booing. I was champion, so he was in the ring first. I put my track on Funkin' for Jamaica. Bow, ba boom, boom, bow, boom. And I'm stood there in the entrance before I had to come out, and the Italians were like, even though they hated me, they're bopping to the song. There's a sea of my fans over there, everybody's like popping and boom. And I had that arrogance when I walked out. And I looked at them, sneered at them, smiled at them, and they were booing. The more they booed, I thought, I want this from you, because this is what's giving me so much strength. And the more they booed, the more they screamed, the more they tried to throw things at me. One woman threw a belt at me. One woman threw a bottle at me. The water came out, didn't hit me. I think it was Dominic get hit. Boom, ba-boom, boom. And the music's playing, and I was bouncing. And I thought, I love this. I will never, ever experience that experience ever again. It was the best feeling ever, and I thought, I love my job. I love this sport. We stood in the ring, the national anthem was on. The Italian national anthem came on. I dropped down into the box splits. I was a peacock. I was an arrogant peacock, and the Italians loved it but hated it. They loved the show, they loved the villain. And I was happy to play the villain. Cantatore was a handful, former world champion. But I thought, not in a million years are you going to beat me. I'm king of the world. I had that arrogance. I owned my special. I beat Cantatore. Good fight, tough guy. The Italians hated me through the fight. They loved me after the fight. But it's the best feeling. A feeling, again, you can't buy, borrow, pretend to have. That's what boxing does to you. Nothing compares to it. Boxing trains you for what? To be a doorman on a job or a coach. And that's it. So when you retire and you're 36-year-old, you're like a 36-year-old school leaver. This is something that it's unprecedented. Nothing's like it at all. Since retiring, I'm always asked, would you do it again? These YouTubers are coming out. These YouTubers are going and doing an amazing job. They're promoting themselves where they're getting kids that would never even leave the computer out to watch the boxing. And they're investing in themselves. They're becoming their own business. And this is what fighters, traditional fighters, need to learn about themselves, move with the times. A YouTuber that can go in and you know more about him than a world champion on IndyCar. The YouTubers are doing something right. When offered the opportunity, if offered the opportunity to do it, it's not just me. Most of us think we can still do it. In our head, we're still 25 years old kicking ass. In reality, our body says, you can go, I'm staying here. When you get into training camp, it's really hard. When you was younger, you could just fight through the hard times and the injuries. Now, I'm 56 years old. I do 3 rounds, I'm thinking, oh my God, but I think I can still do it. So when I see these young guys here that are fighting and people say, oh, I bet you hate it, I bet you could, I bet in your day. It's hard and not unfair to make that comparison because my day's done. I love boxing. I love talking about boxing. The reality is I can't do what I did do. And the ones that fool themselves to think they can do it, they're doing it for the money. And I understand money's a big motivator, but you can't make money your God. If I was asked to do it again at 56 years old, no chance. My daughters would ruin me. I'm a granddad, but I look like I can fight. I talk like I can fight. I think like I can fight. I know what I'd do to beat a fighter if I was still their age, but in reality, I'm at peace with myself. And it makes me smile because, you know, I'm still vain enough to try and keep myself in condition. I still look at a fight thinking, I'd do this, I'd do that, I'd do this. But these are young bucks. I'd get in the ring with a lot of kids. I'd have more experience of them than them. But the problem is, I've not got the pace, I've not got the youth. So all they'd have to do is be consistent for 3 minutes of every round, round after round after round. I'd be shattered after 4 rounds. Then I'm getting beaten by somebody that should never beat me. And then I'm really upset because I'm thinking, this kid's crap, I'm better than that. I don't want you to remember me for that. I want you to remember me for being a world champion. The nicest thing is this. When I do my commentary on Sky, and I get comments saying, what do you know? I laugh. You know, when I talk about fights, so when I talk about experience, I laugh when people say, what do you know? Because it means I've been successful in two lives. I was a world champion to the point where people forgot I box and they think, oh, what do you know? I suppose it's like Gary Lineker. People forget he was the England captain because he does such a good job now. So I like the fact when people say, what do you know? I love it. But in reality, do I think I can do it? Yes, of course I think I can do it still. Would I do it? Oh, hell no, I wouldn't do it.